Have you ever thought about a skeleton walking down the street while dancing to the song September by Earth, Wind, and Fire? Have you not? Okay, well, if you haven't, you should go look up that video because it's actually, I find it to be absolutely hilarious. It's probably not as funny as I make it out to be, but it's still a very enjoyable time. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of That Manga Dude. Today, we are doing a classic, a very average video about what I read in September of 2022 in October because, it'd be hard to post this accurately if I posted this not in... never mind. I have to post this in October, basically, because, for me to be able to record a whole video right as September ends, talking about all the manga I read would just take too long. And this will be the first episode, and this will be, the first inaugural episode where I will be talking about comics that are not from Japan. So, you'll see a couple of comics, I believe, some probably from, Europe or from America. Just expect that. Indie comics will also be free reign here, so you will start to see them throughout the next couple of reading logs. So yeah, get ready for that. It's going to be exciting. I'm really excited. Let's get started. Let's go! Okay, so the first thing that I read in September was actually this wonderful volume here, and that is Volume 3 of Kubo Won't Let Me Be Invisible by Nene Yukimori. If I haven't talked about this before, which I have, I think, mentioned here and there, but just in case you need a little wrap-up here and there for a TLDR, basically this character right here is, completely invisible to everybody, to the point where, he can walk past people and they won't even notice, except for this one girl always notices him. So it's kind of like a slice-of-life, coming-of-age romance story. Very typical, I would say, high school / junior high romance. And honestly, I think it's gotten a lot better as Volume 2 came out and then now this Volume 3. It's very enjoyable. I think Volume 1 was probably one of the most average, boring first volumes I've ever read. But I'm really happy to say that the second and third volume have really picked it up. So it's become a little bit more enjoyable, I would say. Or at least, a lot more enjoyable for me. Is this a must pick up? No, not really. But if you like your high school / junior high romances, right up your alley. It's pretty funny too. There is something that they did mention, one of these little jokes about messing around with the springs instead of pens. Always did that, and I always lost them just like the main character did. So felt very attacked, I guess is the best way to put it. So very funny. Up next, I read the first volume of Honey and Clover, which I will talk about this right now. Chikamino. I really like this release. I've always liked that kind of the matted feel to it, specifically for this volume, and quite a few other shoujo beat volumes. So it's really cool to have this. But I believe this is actually a josei from what I've looked and found out about it. But yeah, it's a pretty fun first volume. If you don't know the story, basically it's about these I want to say they're in university. Please confirm or deny in the comments because I'm kind of stupid and I'm not sure if they're in art high school or if they're in art college. I believe they are in art college from what I can tell. But basically, yeah, it's about these ragtag dudes who all live in the same dorm, basically, or apartment complex, whatever you want to call it. And yeah, it's about their rambunctious goofing around and finding love and figuring out stuff while they also meet this girl here who looks really young, but she's an artistic genius who also struggles with a variety of art-related topics like art block and living up to expectations. So honestly, it's done really well. If you like Blue Period, I would say this is a pretty good series as well if you want to jump into more of that kind of art stuff. This one's really fun, and if you can get a hold of it, awesome. Up next, I read the 13th volume of Twin Star Exorcist. I always talk about this series because I tend to read a volume every month, or at least pick up a volume every month, and that's because it's just really flipping good. I don't know what else to say about it. It's very enjoyable. The art is great. It's by Yoshiaki Sukeno. The story, I will admit, not super crazy or anything. It's very run-of-the-mill shonen series, but I think that the characters really make this very enjoyable. The character designs and the power system is really cool. Yeah, I would say just give it a shot. I know it's a pretty long series. I think it's still releasing to this date. 25, 26 volumes. Probably going to keep going after that. So, yeah, just keep that in mind. But I really would highly suggest you read this. Up next, I finished Prince of Tennis. I read volumes 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, and 42. So, Prince of Tennis, the absolute tennis classic by Takashi Konomi. That's also one of the most ridiculous manga I have ever read, like, ever. And I only say that because just, like, some of the stuff that that Konomi comes up with in terms of, like, powers and stuff like that is just so ridiculous. And I think I've come to the realization that, like, I'm more of a realistic sports manga person, so, like, anything kind of like Whistle or like Haikyuu, where like things are like tend to be more realistic. You know, of course they have like their little shonen things where like, oh, that's kind of weird, but for the most part it's very grounded. Prince of Tennis is just like absolutely out there. Like so much crazy stuff happens. Like people be spinning around, people be shooting balls at like sending people flying into the stands. It is so ridiculous. It is hilarious. I've noticed I laughed more than I probably should have. I find this to be more of a comedy series than it is an action series. But I will say that the last volume was pretty cool. I think that like the last ability, or whatever you want to call it, was genuinely surprising for me. I thought I was kind of blown away. If you know what it is, awesome. But I'm not going to spoil it just in case someone does want to check out Prince of Tennis. It is 42 volumes, and I believe it is out of print. So yeah, it'll be pretty hard to find, but I'm pretty sure it's on the Shonen Jump app or somewhere. It'll be easy to find to read. So yeah, I'd highly suggest this if you like stuff like Blue Lock, where like it's just an absolute crazy time. Up next, I read the first volume of Kingdom Hearts 3 by Shiro Amano. I actually bought this a while back, I think like a couple months ago, and kind of like was holding off on it because like it's just it's Kingdom Hearts 3. I've already played it, I beat it, so I already kind of know what the story is. But Shiro Amano always just brings this wonderfully like charismatic and fun style to everything to Kingdom Hearts 3. There's something, or to Kingdom Hearts in general, honestly, makes everything much more enjoyable. Like I love the games, don't get me wrong, and I will say like Kingdom Hearts 2 is probably one of my favorite video games of all time. But Shiro Amano puts this awesome twist on everything, where everything's super meta, super funny. Like does the comedy better than the games, and like I do appreciate that, and I think it's helpful to be in a medium like manga where you can pull that stuff off easier, I would say. Gags are hilarious in this. I don't know, it's exactly what you'd expect. If you don't like Kingdom Hearts, just don't. But I'd say give it a shot. I don't know, I find this to be really fun and does a pretty good adaptation of Kingdom Hearts 3, so that's cool. Alright, See You Tomorrow at the Food Court by Shinichiro Narie. I already talked about this in FBI, so I'm not going to talk about it a lot here. But yeah, super great. The art's nice. The story's pretty cool. The characters are awesome. Give it a shot. It's pretty fun. Coming up next, I read the rest of Sakura Hime, and that is volumes 8 through 12. And it still has my vote for some of the most gorgeous covers I have ever seen in general, and spines. Just like, look at this. This looks so awesome on a bookshelf. Of course, I've taken pictures of my collection before, and I've added these just because, like, how could you not? Look at them. They're, like, absolutely gorgeous, and the covers are great, too. They're super heavily detailed. The colors really pop. It just works. It just works. What else is there to say about it? It's, like, it's just such a great time. And honestly, like, I was genuinely surprised by this series. I think the ending is bold in a way that I wasn't expecting it to go. But yeah, if you've read it, you know what I'm talking about. But I do really appreciate Arina Tanemura's writing style. This nice mix between action, comedy, romance, drama. It's all mixed pretty well. I will say I wish there was a little bit more action, but I know that wasn't the true focus of the series. But I do think a lot of the character drama works really well. I do think some of the parts toward the end as well were kind of sped through. Looks like she knew when like the series was kind of ending, so characters were starting to get killed off, which is kind of unfortunate. But I do think that the ending kind of reprimands that and like helps to alleviate that, like, oh man, I wish this was longer kind of thing. But yeah, it was a fun time and definitely worth a shot. I would say I would rank this as my favorite Arina Tanemura series, but that's because it's the only Arina Tanemura series that I have finished, so I will have a different opinion when I am able to finish Idle Dreams or Full Moon. Don't know when that is, so please don't ask. Okay, into the next stack here, we've got Lost Lad London Volume 2 by Shima Shinya. Once again, absolutely killing it. Shima Shinya, holy hell, where have you been in my life? Also, when are people going to start printing their other series? I really want to read more. I know that the third volume, I guess, is the last volume, which is like, that kind of stunned me because I'm like, really? It's the last volume? I'm not ready for that. So, yeah, get ready for me to shed a little tears. But yeah, this is another awesome volume of another fantastic series. It's come over to English. It's in the beginning of this year, or towards the beginning of this year. One of my hyped up releases, and I will say, at this moment, probably one of my favorite series to release in 2022. So we will see if that changes in the manga awards that I'm going to do towards the end, where I'm going to give out awards to the series that have released in 2022. And I will, have, it has no, they don't get anything, like, it'll just be a thing. So spoiler alert, that's going to happen sometime in December, where I'm going to give out my awards for, like, the best whatevers. So you'll see. It's going to be great, I hope. Up next, I read Kaiju number 8, volume 3. Another good volume, another good stuff. I know I'm really behind. I was pretty behind when I bought this because I bought this really late. But yeah, I mean, this series is super cool. It's a great shonen series. Focuses on an older character, which is always surprising, especially for shonen stuff. So super cool. And yeah, just genuinely really fun. The action's great. The visuals are great. So yeah, give it a shot. If you like shonen stuff, this is like perfectly right up your alley. Definitely a must read if you're a shonen person. Up next, I read my underrated series, which is Hoshin Engi Volumes 2 and 3. I like to talk about the series as much as possible. The series is by Ryu Fujisaki, who also wrote a series called Whack Whack, which is one of my favorite short series. But this one's really cool. It focuses on like Chinese mythology and really leans into this like mix of like sci-fi and like high fantasy in a way. I don't know. It's a great mix of everything. The action's great. The visuals are great. The story's interesting and like genuinely fun. The villains are some of the villains, are very like mastermindy, kind of like I'm evil and stuff. But there are some villains who kind of lie on this like fence, which is super cool to see. So excited to see where the story goes. But yeah, these were genuinely fun volumes, and I can't wait to read more. Up next, I read this chonker. This is Tokyo Revengers Volumes 1 and 2 by Ken Nawakui. I know. This series has gotten a lot of mixed reviews. A lot of people say it's not worth it. Don't read it. Don't waste your time. You're gonna get to like the 15th to 20th volume and you're gonna start hating it. Well, we shall see, because yeah. I can see why people really liked it at the beginning. The first 2 volumes are super cool, very interesting. If you don't know the story, basically it's about this kid who's kind of a loser, or like I guess he's an adult now. He's kind of a loser and like doesn't really know what he's doing anymore, but ends up teleporting back into the past they don't really say why at the beginning, but you learn that like somebody who died in the current present, where this guy currently lives, has a chance of being saved if you can go back to the past and try to change some stuff. So that's his goal now, is to try to save this girl by going into the past and trying to change basically all this like Tokyo gang warfare stuff, which is crazy. It's ridiculous, but I think it's done pretty well at the beginning. I'm really liking a lot of the characters, especially the gang leaders, and of course our main character's pretty cool too, at least when he's a kid. So we'll see where this goes. Hopefully it stays consistent and fun, because I've been liking it. So yeah. Up next, another chunky boy. This is Summertime Rendering Volume 2 by Yasuki Tanaka. Another one of those controversial series where people are saying it's not worth finishing. Like, this series starts sucking after a while. And I don't know, because this is pretty great. This is another another time traveling one, which is really funny that I read this right after Tokyo Revengers. But yeah, if you don't know the story, basically it's about this kid who comes back to the island that he used to live at, for a funeral for one of his like best friends from back in the day, and he learns that things aren't as they seem. So he's goes through all this like mystery of trying to figure out what's going on the island. I'm trying super hard not to spoil anything, and I think I did pretty good. But if you like yourself a really good mystery action thriller, this is definitely a really good read. So I can't wait to read more of it. Up next, I read the first volume of Inubaka, Crazy for Dogs, and it's okay. I can see why no one talks about it. I mean, one, because it's out of print, so like I feel like not a lot of people would be talking about it anyways. But it's like fine. It gets the job done. It's entertaining. It's basically about this girl who's like a complete loser at her point. or at least like her parents say she's a loser, so she decides to move out and move to the big city in order to find a job and try to get her life going. And she ends up working for this dog kennel slash pet store, which is interesting to say the least. But some hijinks happen, some goofiness happens. It feels very of its age. So if you like that kind of 90s, 2000s comedy, then yeah, I think you'll be right in your alley for this. But yeah, it's okay. I don't know. It's nothing to write home about. It's not amazing or anything. The art's pretty decent. The dogs are drawn pretty well. So yeah, I think I'm going to continue reading this. I know it's not finished in English, so I'll just have to deal with that. But hot take, I don't care. I've noticed that I don't care as much as long as the volume that the series ends on in English does a good way to push the series off, like, oh, that's it, kind of thing, instead of leaving us on a cliffhanger, which I know that's a very controversial take. People will probably be like, what do you mean? You don't want to read Gintama? You don't want to read Reborn? You don't want to read Sakura Hime? And, I mean, I do, but, there's nothing I can do legally, and I'd rather not read it online because trying to support these authors as much as possible. Of course, buying used books is kind of like the opposite of that, but you get what I mean. Up next, I read No Longer Heroine by Momoko Koda. I've already talked about this in an FBI, so if you want to go check that out, I have a whole video where I talk about it. But pretty fun, weird shoujo series that it really feels like a satire. So if you like that kind of stuff, you want to read a very bizarre drama shoujo series that's also a pretty solid comedy, I would check it out. Up next, I read the first volume of Gunsmith Cats, Bonnie and Clyde. So, I did confirm that this is the first volume. So, yeah, this was awesome. I really liked reading this. The main characters are super awesome. I mean, jeez. And, the designs are super cool, too. They're so fun. Rally's super cool. Minnie May's really cool. The cops are really cool, which is not something I thought I'd ever say. But, yeah, just, it's really funny, too, because it feels like the research on weapons and pistols and guns has been very well researched. It feels like they really tried to understand and to explain to people, stuff like that, which I think is super cool. So, yeah, you can always appreciate that kind of stuff. But, yeah, this is a really fun series. I highly doubt you could get your hands on it because this is, of course, out of print. This is, an original Dark Horse, print. I think they did, a reprint for, these, special versions in, the 2000s. But, once again, those are probably also out of print. So, Dark Horse, please, reprint this so people can check it out. Because this is a really awesome series and deserves to be reprinted. Alrighty. A Sign of Affection, Volume 4, Tsumorishita. We did it. We finally got Volume 4. It only took 4 months. And thank God that I finally got it because, yeah, another great, fantastic volume. If you don't know what A Sign of Affection is, it's basically about these two people on the frontier. The girl is deaf, and the main male lead, basically is wow, you're really cool. Can I learn sign language from you? Because his whole shtick is he likes to explore, travel, learn new languages, and understand the culture of others. So he meets this girl who is deaf, and he's I've never learned sign language before. That'd be really cool. Can you teach me? So they do all this stuff, and then they start to get a little bunny, if you know what I'm saying. So yeah, and they are super cute. They're such an amazing couple. I really enjoy them. This is the first volume where that actually happens for once. Spoiler alert. I will throw a spoiler up on here, wherever. You'll see it. Well, at least I will have posted it before I talk about this. But yeah, this couple is super cute. I mean, if you couldn't tell they're a couple, I mean, I'm sorry. You probably need to get your eyes checked because it's right on the cover. But yeah, super awesome series. I really enjoy this. Sumo Ishita has moved up into probably my top 30 mangaka. Although they are a duo, so I guess mangakas. But yeah, I really liked Shortcake Cake a lot, which is their first series that came out in English. So yeah, of course I was probably gonna like this anyways, but this is super good. Check it out. Okay, then another volume of Black Clover. This is volume 30 by Yuki Tabata. Of course, everybody kind of knows what this series is, but finally gets pushing into the Spade Kingdom arc. or at least I would say, like, the main villains are starting to finally show up, which is really cool. And we're starting to see some actual stakes now, I hope. Or at least I feel like there's actual stakes. I know someone's probably going to be in the comments be like, well, if you just read it, like, live or whatever, you'll know that there are no stakes. And please don't ruin the time for me, because I'm trying to read this only by the volumes and not by the chapters. So I already know that the series is in its last arc right now. So please don't talk to me, at least unless you're talking about Spade Kingdom arc. But yeah, super cool. We get to see Noelle pull out some cool stuff and learn some more of a background behind certain characters. So that's super cool. But yeah, very much enjoy it. It's a good time. Okay, Spy Family, baby! This is volume 8. I had to read it as soon as I bought it. This is one of the series that, like, it doesn't matter when it's coming out. As soon as it comes out, I try to find a volume, I pick it up, and I read it almost immediately, and it's awesome. This one is great. For minor spoilers, it finally gets some focus on Yor. I was talking to my significant other and a couple people about, like, why I don't think Yor has gotten a lot of the spotlight in general, and that's because, like, she's important to the story, but, like, her story is not necessarily associated with the overarching plot. But it is cool that we finally get to see this, like, intertwining of her story with Lloyd's and basically the main story. So that's super cool. We get to see Yor do some really cool stuff in this volume. Overall, really great. It's very funny still. Anya's still up to her little hijinks and goofiness. So you gotta love that. But yeah, this is a great volume. Super happy it finally came out. Okay, the last of this stack, I read The Carmen Line by Mitsuhashi Kotaro. This is a short story anthology of just kind of like surreal imagery and just talking about very deep topics and stuff like that. I'm trying not to spoil it because, like, I think this is a really good read. Genuinely really interesting. But I will say, the minor spoilers, that it's printed on blue ink, which is hard to tell in this lighting, but it's, like, super neat. Definitely something I've never seen before, and it seems to be a current trend, which is super cool. So I'm glad that we're starting to see more color, or, like, even, like, just light coloring in prints and in volumes and stuff. So that's super awesome. But yeah, this is a fantastic release. Definitely check it out. It's by Glacier Bay, so they are a smaller publisher, but definitely give them a chance and give them a shot because they print some awesome work. Into the final stack we go. Let's focus that camera up and get into it. So, I read the first volume of Hanakimi for You and Full Blossom by Hisaya Nakajo. But, yeah, so what the series is about is the main character is a Goyle, and she joins this all-boys school in order to meet her, basically her, like, idol, which is this track star. He was a, what do they call? Pole vaulting. So, that's really cool. Yeah, I'm genuinely interested to see where this goes. Full of drama. I think it's hilarious how much drama there is. And fairly decent tackling of some pretty heavy topics, including, like, homophobia and stuff like that. So, will I say it's the best? No. But will I say for the time, was it good? Yeah, I think so. I think there's, like, actually some pretty decent stuff. I will say, you know, there is some language that they use, which is very aggressive, very homophobic. And is, yeah, you'll have to take it with a grain of salt and think about the time and just remember that. But yeah, if you're easily triggered by homophobia, I would not read this. But yeah, this is a pretty interesting shoujo romance drama series. Coming up next, we read Mashle, Magic of Muscles, Volume 8 by Hajime Komoto. And yeah, it felt good. I like this volume. I think I said that before, where, like, I felt like I got a lull in the Mashle, like, upswinging or whatever you want to call it, where I just wasn't liking it as much, where it wasn't as funny, but, like, I think that the mangaka has kind of figured out where he wants to go with the story, and that's really cool, and it really shows, because, like, it's still funny, it's still goofy, but the action's great, and it feels like the drama's really pushing itself forward, so excited to see where it goes. Up next, I read The Oluso Samurai, Volume 2 by Yusuke Matsui. If you don't know about the series, basically it's about this character, or the samurai, or what do you want to call him, who is going to be the heir of the shogun, or like whatever. But his whole family's killed and is overthrown, and he has to go on the run and basically rebuild his army so that he could take down the current emperor slash shogunate. yeah, it's just super cool. It is very bizarre. It's very very Yusei Matsui. If you know what that means, if you've read Assassination Classroom, just expect that level of ridiculousness throughout the series. The art gets very wonky sometimes and very goofy and very striking. So yeah, just expect some really weird stuff to happen. But overall, yeah, it seems pretty cool. I'm having a good time with it, and these covers, gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. So excited to read more. Alrighty, so funny story about this. This is Maisa no Koku Volume 1 by Rumiko Takahashi. If you didn't know, these are the, the limited, or not limited edition, but like basically the current omnibuses that they are releasing to re-release the series, because long ago, Viz printed these as single volumes. Of course, they kind of disappeared, they're out of print, so these are the current and new prints. And yeah, they're really awesome. They're made with like this like kind of like, I don't know how to explain it, but like they're textured kind of like a tatami mat, so that's cool. But I'm glad that I reread this, because funny story, I've actually owned this volume for what feels like almost 2 years now. And I brought it to vacation I had during New Year's. And I tried to read it in the car. I got to like the 3rd chapter and I was like, man, this is kind of boring. So I kind of let it sit, let it ruminate, and then I came back to it in September, and I was like, or the September of this year, that is, and was like, all right, let's give it a second shot. So decided to read it again, and yeah, this is great. I don't know what the hell I was talking about. I must have just been really tired or something, but this is an awesome series. It's a slice of life comedy series focusing on this, basically this apartment complex where all these random people live and have really goofy and weird stuff happen. Just fun. I mean, if you like Rumiko Takahashi, you'll love this series. Even if you don't, I think you'll enjoy the comedy. It's done really well. It's very funny. And yeah, I'm genuinely interested to see where this goes. Probably be picking up the 2nd volume soon. Up next, more Ridiculousness, Fire Punch Volume 2 by Tatsuki Fujimoto, the manga behind Chainsaw Man. And yeah, this is gets just weirder and weirder. Also has a hilarious line. I probably won't be able to find it, but there's this like one part where a character says, "Kick the baby," and kicks a person's head. So take that as you will. It is very bizarre. It's totally Fujimoto. This is before he did Chainsaw Man. So like, if you want some more ridiculous action, read this, because this is like crazy, absolutely crazy. Alright, so the first comic that I read that isn't a manga, this is Berserkid by, oh gosh, I believe it is, there it is, by Gax Valet and Michael Lopez, I'm sorry. But yeah, this is a really cool like indie comic released by Piao, which is a indie comic publisher who I believe is going to be shutting down, or at least they said they were shutting down soon, but I guess they're releasing all the stuff that they had set up. But yeah, this is a really nice short read. I mean, it was only a couple volumes, but I really like that it's done in a green-blue color, which is super awesome. I was actually gifted this during my birthday by my friend Tammy, so thank you, Tammy, for giving me this. This is an awesome read. Very short, like I said. It's very funny. The action's great, and I love the visuals a lot. And there's like this wonderful mix of like, looks like charcoal kind of like drawings, even though I don't think it was actually drawn in charcoal. But yeah, it's just super cool. I mean, it's done really well. If you can get your hands on it, awesome. If you don't, I'm sorry, you know, it makes sense. It's an indie publisher. Probably a limited print, so there isn't a lot of them. But yeah, if you can find it, pick it up, because I think it's actually pretty good. Up next, I read The Goaded, Golden Kamui Volume 2 by Sato Renoda. This is just more of the story, more some good stuff, more absolute ridiculousness. I've been reading a lot of ridiculous stuff recently. I should probably tone it down. But yeah, this series is awesome, and there's a good reason why a lot of people like to talk about it. But yeah, this Volume 2 was also super cool. And this continues to be great art, great story, great characters. Can't say more about it without spoiling it, but yeah, give it a shot. Up next, I read the second volume of Eminon, which is Wanderer Part 1, and, or Wanderer Part 1, but this is Volume 2 in English. It's very confusing. But, yeah, it's by Shinji Kajio and Kenji Tsuruta. Yeah, just more awesome, wonderful writing, beautiful art. As you can see, there's like awesome color pages, but I can't show you because there is a naked lady. But just know that there's like some awesome color pages in here. So yeah, super cool to see. And that's all I'm going to show. Gonna have to blur it again. Dang it! The second time I have to blur out something in a video. But yeah, wonderful release. If you can find it, awesome. Pick it up. Pick it up right now and read it. Read it right now. Grrr. Okay, I read one volume of Claymore. So I took a break on Claymore in September because I read a lot in August. If you've read or if you watched my August reading log, talked a lot about it. But yeah, volume 19 was super awesome. Continues the story with a lot of the crazy stuff that's happening after the North arc and going into like I guess like the Awakened ones and the Abyssal. What are they called? Is that what they're called? I think they're called the Abyssal ones or something like that. But or yeah, Abyssal ones. And yeah, crazy stuff happens. That's all I can say about this. Don't want to spoil it. Give it a shot. Great series. Alright, series I haven't read in a while. This is Dead Dead Demons DDD Destruction, Volume 11 by Inio Asano. Inio Asano is the classic mangaka behind such works as Goodnight Poon Poon, also known as Oyasumi Poon Poon, and Solanin, which is my favorite series by him, or volume, or what do you want to call it. But I'm really glad that we finally got to like this volume, because like this feels like the climax that I was waiting for, or like basically the build-up that everything that's been going on throughout the story has finally happened in this volume. So I want to see where this goes, because like yeah, kind of blew me away. The art is absolutely gorgeous in this volume, as well as every other volume. Inio Asano is a master at his work. Awesome stuff. Can't wait to read more. I think we either have one more volume or we have two. I know I'm going to be very sad when that ends, but very excited to see what happens in that last volume. So yeah, let's go. Okay, read volume 10 of Again by Mitsuru Kubo, excuse me. I finally got volume 10. Took me forever to find a decent condition volume, but continues to be awesome. I'm really worried because I know there's only 2 more volumes and doesn't feel like the series is meant to end yet. And I know a lot of people have said that the ending is very rushed, so I hope that it's going to be okay. I am very skeptical and worried about that ending, but when we get there, we will get there. But yeah, this is another awesome volume. Continues the story of the musical of I Want to Die, which is just something else. Makes more sense in context. I'm not gonna talk about it too much, but yeah, really love to see like characters changing and growing, and that's awesome to see. Especially our main character, you know, he's finally getting out of his shell. So I'm excited to see where it goes. Alright, up next, I read this absolutely bizarre anomaly, and that is Math Girls Manga Volume 1 by Hiroshiyuki, Mika, Hasaka, and translated by Tony Gonzalez. This was a very weird release. I don't know how else to say it. Basically, it follows this main character boy who is like really good at math and meets this girl who's also really good at math, and it's kind of weird. So they become friends. And then another girl comes in and wants to learn wants to get tutored on math, specifically what appears to be like complex algebra or complex trigonometry. I'm not really sure. It's been a long time since I took math, but yeah, this is very much an like educational manga. Like they talk a lot about math stuff in here, and like it would be like a nice companion piece if you're like studying calc or if you're studying like complex trigonometry, but like I wouldn't say I would rely on this to learn math. But yeah, it's fine. It's fun. The art's pretty decent. The print, I will say, has some mess ups here and there. In the like the text bubbles, they forget to mention they forget to have like the Greek symbols. So like there will be times where like people will be talking about that kind of stuff and it's just blank and it's so awkward and really weird. But yeah, this was something else, but it was like not bad. I don't know, I enjoyed myself. It was a fun time. Decent romance read, a very interesting educational math read. So yeah, I don't know how I feel about it, but it's cool to have. I mean, I don't know. Not much else I can say about it. It's printed by Bento Books, which I don't know how much that means anything, but they've only printed 2 manga ever, and it's the first volume of this and the second volume of this. And the second volume is like nowhere to be found, so yeah, I don't know what happened to it. But if someone has a second volume and they want to give it to me or they want to sell it for a decent price, yeah, let me know. Alright, my second comic that is not a manga. That is Suncatcher by Jose Pimienta. So this series was really cool. Basically, it's about this girl here on the front. Her name is Beatriz. And she lives in, I was about to say Baja, California, but I believe she lives in Mexicali. There we go. And she's like, wants to join a rock band, because like she's really into playing the guitar. She learned it from her grandpa. And the story leads into this weird stuff where her grandpa passes away, and his spirit is like locked into this acoustic guitar and tells her, hey, you need to write this song in order to pay back this debt that I had with this person who gave me the ability to create amazing music or whatever. So it's about her story of belonging, longing to understand music, and it kind of focuses on the themes of obsession and where that leads into destroying relationships and ruining friendships and various other things, and ruining yourself, and like being too focused on a goal or a task at hand to not focus on yourself. And yeah, it's interesting. I really didn't like the main character for most of the comic, but I actually like how this ends. I think the ending is very good. I think the art's pretty good too. I really like the colors that they use throughout the entire thing, and I like the music motifs and like how Jose draws like music is really interesting. So I find that to be really cool. And yeah, just a fun read. I mean, I don't know. I'll probably reread this at some point, but yeah, this was a pretty decent read. I would check it out if you like music stuff. Alright, I read Tesoro by Natsume Ono. This is her short story collection from a variety of different time periods of her manga career. And yeah, it's fun. I mean, it's really enjoyable. I think each of the short stories are great. I always love Natsume Ono, so I'm a little bit biased. If you like Natsume Ono stuff, this is right up your alley. This is another one that's printed on different color ink, which this is brown. Kind of hard to tell in this lighting because I think the lighting's kind of yellow. But yeah, the brown is really nice, and this is a fun read. I would say pick it up. Whew, man, I'm getting tired, but I'm almost done. Let's go. Okay. So, I read the last 2 volumes of Kiichi and the Magic Books. This is volumes 4 and 5 by Taka Amano. And I'm so happy that I finished it, because this was a great series. And probably my sleeper pick for best series that I've read this year. And I say it's a sleeper pick because, 1, it's old. 2, it's out of print. And 3, no one ever talks about it. I've seen like a total of 0 people talk about it. And I'm really glad that I got one person in my my YouTube comments to pick it up and check it out. So... awesome stuff. I hope you enjoy it or enjoyed it. But yeah, this was a really fun series. I really enjoyed it, and I'm really glad I got to finish it pretty fast, honestly, because I didn't know how fast I'd be able to find the other volumes, but I managed to find them, and in good condition too, so that's super cool. I'm glad I finished it, and yeah, I hope other people get the chance to enjoy it, because it's a really fun high fantasy series. And yeah, I think it definitely gets the job done in a variety of areas. The art's great. The story's pretty decent. I love the characters, and I love the setting too. So yeah, awesome stuff. And the final volume is Beat, the Vandal Buster, Volume 8 by Riku Sanjo and Koji Hinata. Whew. Man, I am exhausted. I probably should drink some water at some point because my voice is starting to give out, but... yeah, this was a good volume. There's not much else to say about it. If you haven't read Beat, this doesn't really say anything. But if you like Dragon Quest, like the current Dragon Quest release, Adventure or Die, it's basically the same series, but like with a little bit of differentiation here and there. More of a focus on weapons and on like demon stuff. So yeah, but I really enjoy this. It's a good read. It's a fun time. Give it a shot. Okay, that is going to do it for my manga reading log / comic reading log of September 2022. Man, I am like out of breath. Jeez, I feel like I just ran a marathon, because I kind of did. But yeah, if you like this video or if you enjoyed any of the volumes that I talked about this time around, please let me know in the comments below. You know what to do. You can like, comment, favorite, and subscribe. Or can you favorite? I don't know if you can favorite anymore, but... if you can like, comment, and subscribe, that would be super awesome. You guys are all awesome. All of my viewers are awesome because you follow me, and I appreciate your support every single time. Your comments are awesome. I love reading your comments. I love commenting back. I like liking your comments. Yeehaw. That's what I do. But if you didn't manage to do any of those things that I just mentioned, then thanks for watching for 35 minutes or so. Really appreciate your support, I guess. Not I guess. I really do appreciate your support. So thanks for everything. Yeah, and I will see you in a spooky video coming up in October.